What's up, everyone? Welcome to my corner of the internet. I'm your host, Ryan Cramer, and this is Crossover Commerce, presented by PingPong Payments, the leading global payments provider helping sellers keep more of their hard-earned money. What's up, everyone? Happy Monday. I'm your host, Ryan Cramer, and welcome to episode 90 of Crossover Commerce, presented by PingPong Payments. Today's episode is titled Mentoring Success, Helping Other Entrepreneurs Grow on Their Online Amazon Journey. Thanks for watching us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Or if you're listening to us later via download, thanks for listening to us on either Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple, or Google Podcasts. Truly anywhere where a podcast exists, I'm going to be there. Just search Crossover Commerce and make sure you follow and rate us to make sure you're notified for future episodes. Again, because this is live on multiple social media channels, do me a favor and hit that notification bell at the bottom right hand corner to be notified, because I go live about 4 to 5 times per week with influencers, experts, whoever you want to call, people who have been in the space a very long time, in order to bring you nuggets of wisdom of different topics in the Amazon and e-business space. So if you want to be notified of those, go ahead and hit that bell and be notified of those episodes, because people like today are going to bring value in every way, shape, or form. My job is to give you guys some sort of valuable insight to take and apply to your business starting today and moving forward to be more successful entrepreneurs going forward. If you can't watch this live again, you can actually watch all these episodes on replay on our YouTube channel. Just search for PingPong Payments on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. And there will be a playlist that says Crossover Commerce. Go ahead and check it out there. We have over 90 episodes. This is number 90. So lots of bits of nuggets from leaders in the space that you can check out and watch later on. But about our guest today, it's not just me. If it was just me, that would be one boring show. But it's about me talking about my friends in the e-com space. I really should call it Ryan's Friends in the e-com space. But maybe that's for a different show. But from about our guest today, he went from bartender to a multi-six-figure Amazon seller, which is amazing. And he started back in 2017 and built his store to 6 figures in his first year and scaled to multiple 6 figures the following year. Started an Amazon coaching business in 2020, which is fantastic, and shared his knowledge and insights with other successful Amazon business entrepreneurs all around the world. So I wanted to get him on. You might see him on, or listen to him, I should say, on Clubhouse. He's all over the place teaching and bringing entrepreneurs successful journeys. Located there, he's actually located in Miami, Florida. But I want to welcome to the show Ecom Dave. Dave, what is going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, Ryan? Thank you so much for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Episode 90. Let's go.
I know 90. Like when people watch this or listen to this, and they're like, my God, didn't you start this in October or like maybe August? I'm like, yep, that's right. But my job is to bring as much content and value to people in the space, because there's so many different perspectives, right? I'm sure you know that as well. So, but for those of people, like, you're like Prince, like it's one name, Ecom Dave. Like,
exactly.
What's up with that branding, man? Like, I just want to get your insight, because I couldn't even find your last name when I searched for it.
Yeah. The thing is, my last name is very it's just hard. It's Scheuer. It's like German. And it just and it's spelled it's not spelled how it sounds. Okay. And honestly, I think I'm like, yo, Ecom Dave, it does have a sound to it, and it's the name pretty much says what I do, which is e-commerce.
That's easy, and that's nice branding too, right?
Yeah, it's easy to remember, so I went with that.
That's awesome, man. So you're down there in Miami, Florida. What's kind of like that journey? You said bartender before this. Like, was that your only job before you jumped into e-commerce, or what was that journey like for you?
So I come. So a little background on me. I'm a first generation immigrant. My mother's from Peru. My dad's from Switzerland. But I moved to United States when I was like 12. And nice. I was raised in Seattle, but then I moved to Miami when I was 18 by myself. And
doesn't suck. That's not a bad place to land, man.
Yeah, I know it's not. And coming from just first generation, it's like I didn't really have like parent support like that, so I kind of just had to figure out on my own. So I said, you know what, I got into the hospitality industry because I needed money, so and just to get me through school and stuff, I went to business school. But I just kind of stuck with hospitality because that's what was paying the bills, Sure. And then why I got into e-commerce was actually funny. I was just laying in bed, just working. I was working until like 6 a.m, 6 days a week. Okay.
Hospitality business, man. You never sleep.
You never sleep. So, and I was like, listen, I need more money, but like, how do I do it without, I can't physically get another job. I would just kill myself. Another, like working double shifts. And I just went like, what is something that I can do from home that will bring me money? And ironically enough, I went on Google and I just put in how to make money online. And actually,
we all start that way, right?
Yeah, yes. And I came across a Gary Vee video, right? It's funny enough. He goes, you can go on Walmart right now and buy something online for this much and sell it for this much more on Amazon, right? And as he was talking about online arbitrage, right, and drop shipping. And I'm like, oh, really? Because honestly, I thought that all of the products on Amazon were just sold by Amazon. That's like kind of what people think.
However it starts, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then I'm like, wait. And then I went on YouTube and I found private label. And I'm like, oh, man, you can buy these things even cheaper from China and flip them for this much. And I just started going down that rabbit hole. And I watched, hundreds of hours of YouTube, listen to podcasts, and I launched my business in 2017. And, I trial and error, and I got it to 6 figures by the end of that year. It was tough in the beginning, investing the money that you make as a bartender and like throwing it on there. Yeah. And, but yeah, I did it and I'm so glad I got on at the right time and, just it's been on since then. So yeah, that's
awesome. So do you tell people what category you got into ever?
Yes. I got into baby category.
Really?
I'll tell you guys, my first failing product was my first product failed completely. So learn from my mistakes. It was a diaper caddy, right? And
what's a diaper caddy? That just something that holds the diapers?
They hold the diapers, yeah.
Okay.
And I got into it, but I did not. My very first mistake was I sold the same thing as the bestseller, exactly the same thing. I didn't differentiate it.
No variations.
No variations. Okay, not at all. And I also bought back in those days, you could just send as many units as you wanted to the Amazon warehouse for your first run. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna compete on price. Another mistake, I'm like, I'm gonna get 1,000 of these, and I can probably get them for cheaper and put it up on Amazon. So I got 1,000 of them, put them up on Amazon, and that guy already had more reviews than me. So obviously, no one bought my product because I was just selling the same thing as him, So
right.
I learned from that, but down my second one, I'm like, I understood it more. I'm like, okay, well, I got to give the customer a reason to pick mine over what's already there. And the second one worked, and then it's been on since then.
That's awesome. So you stick with that category, or did you diversify?
Yeah, actually, my second one was baby. My third was baby, but then I started doing more home and kitchen, and I just started basing my product choices just because of data and like how much value am I bringing to that particular market.
That's awesome. So when you've been selling for what, like 2.5 years or so, like generally like being successful.
3 years. Yeah.
So what's that vision for you kind of moving forward? Now you've gone into like, let's stay on the seller side. What's kind of that vision for you? Is it growing your team? Is it growing your selection?
Yeah,
growing a brand?
Definitely. Yeah. So I just hired like 3 VAs because once you start getting past like, 30 ASINs, it starts to get like a little crazy, like as far as like managing it all, PPC management, restock management, and all that. So that was my goal this year. I got some VAs in the team that pretty much handle the reordering from the suppliers. They handle my PPC, and obviously I'm launching like 2 new products every month now. That's my goal. Wow. So yeah.
So your goal, is it? And so when you're growing your business, obviously like that's people wise, do you have like an endpoint in place, or like, is it just to kind of like grow almost a brand and brand yourself in that context? So like what's kind of like the vision for you? Like, because so like right growing now, 2 months a month, that's a lot.
Yeah. So this year is, instead of, because I've already kind of implanted myself in a bunch of different categories, like as far as like products. Right. Mm-hmm. Instead of just looking for other ones, I'm just going to dominate the ones that I'm in. So I'm just launching different variations of those current products that I have. So I can just take more space of page one. That's my goal for that.
Are you just selling on .com?
No, I sell in Europe and in Australia. Same product. Okay. Yeah.
That's awesome. So what was it like? So you're learning along the way. You said you heard from Gary Vee. I'm hearing all these different like names that pop up, which are great entrepreneurs, clearly. And for people who are listening to this, like, those people are like successful. They're like bestsellers. They've been in the space. They're very much mentors, and they want to see other people grow.
Mhm.
So you took that concept. At what point did you say like, hey, I know how to do this well. I can help other people do the same thing that they did for me. What was that like, that mentality aspect of it?
Okay, so honestly, I would join like every freaking Amazon Facebook group out there.
There's a lot.
And yeah, and I started just kind of like posting my results out there, and people would just reach out to me, just be like, hey, like, how did you get it to, how did you get to that much a month? And honestly, I just started coaching that way. Also, I would see just like people just starting with the wrong information. Like they would just be like, oh, I lost a bunch of money because I started selling, I got a bunch of neck pillows. And I'm like, well, shit, you would have taught better. You would have understood that's a super competitive niche, right? So,
Exactly.
so I got into it for those reasons, and just honestly just teaching what's worked for me. And that's how I started my coaching program.
That's awesome. So when you're building this out, like you don't have a roadmap. There's no roadmap to say like, this is how I'm going to educate people. Like you're giving your thoughts and opinions away for free, and then either build out like, hey, one-on-one coaching calls and things like that. How do you balance mentorship versus still actively selling, and not just actively selling? You're growing and actively selling, not just passively.
Yeah. So building a team, you can't. It gets to a point in the beginning. When I was coaching, it was just a few people. And it was manageable. But as you're grow your store, and you got more ASINs, and you're selling in different marketplaces, you need to learn. What I've learned in the past year was just like I have to hire a team, because I was always the type of person that I'm like, if you want to done something right, do it yourself. But you just gotta learn how to hire the right team. Yeah.
So how are you doing that? Like if for VAs, like we've had people on the show who have VA agencies and whatnot. A lot of people go to Upwork, Fiverr, places like that.
I just trained them myself.
You train them yourself?
Yeah, onlinejobs.ph is actually like a really good source for that. I go directly from there. I just trained them myself.
Okay. So you're telling them like your processes. What specifically are you bringing VAs on for?
Like I said, for example, just reordering. That's pretty easy, right? They look at what my average daily sales for one of these products is, and just make sure that they're reordering on time, so I'm never out of stock. So I just connect them with the suppliers with that, and then just they talk to the supplier and like, all right, we need to be reordering this many. And I also have them handling pretty much pay-per-click management, right? So my ACoS always stay good, and they're tracking all the keywords and that stuff. And also reaching out to new suppliers for new products.
Okay. So you have them actively outbounding for you. You're managing kind of like the day-to-day stuff, like making sure that everything's optimized and whatnot. You've been selling for 3 years now. What has that transition been like for like starting in 2017-ish time, when it was still very much like anything goes? It was like hey, I'm going to try this tactic and it's successful. But then like Amazon cracks down a little bit more and they keep changing, right? How are you ebbing and flowing as that continues to happen? And how are you educating people to keep the pulse on Amazon?
Yeah. So one thing that changed, drastically was because of coronavirus, was just the inventory, the end of things. So when I first started, you could send in a lot of more units in the beginning. Now you're only allowed to send in 200, I believe.
200, 250. Yeah, I think 250 is it.
Yeah. So that itself, I mean, honestly, but anyways, I always tell my students, for your first run, you should just get like 100 to 200 pieces in the beginning, just to test, because obviously you want to make sure that people are going to buy your product, right? Obviously you want to do your due diligence and make sure you're differentiating, adding value, have a great listing, know your keywords and all that before you get the product made. But you just want to get 100 pieces in the very beginning, right? So very low risk. So that's what I teach my students, because also Amazon is only going to let you to send in 250 anyways for your first run. So that's what's changed. Also differentiation, you have to really focus on that now. Like you said, like those days you could just go to Alibaba and get anything and throw it up on Amazon with good images and good SEO. You could get some sales. Now it's gotten, you have to do your work and make sure that you're coming up with a product that really stands out, and that you're not getting into competitive niches. So
how product, like people are trying to say like, oh, there's nothing out there to sell. Like that you and I both know that's not true.
Not true.
And, you know, and you can get a lot of products and inspirations from lots of different places.
Yeah.
What do you have any like tips for people who are maybe listening to this for the first time, if they're in your group or on your journey or on their journey, and they're like, hey, I want to find another like great product out there. I found like created my own and it's awesome. But how do I like do the research, or how do I, and this is not tool wise, this is how do I figure out the categories that might be successful where I can go, or I can get inspiration from that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like honestly,
like where do you get inspiration from? Let's talk with that. Like, are you pulling just data, or are you looking at like
just data? And whatever niche I become successful, like it hits on, I'll just make more variations of that and just kind of take more of that page one. That's kind of my approach. But it's just in the beginning, it's just data. Honestly, the more random the product is, the better. Right. So like
that's how I've always felt. Like,
yeah.
Even though there's lots of keywords, like there would be products with like but tons of search, right? But like the more random you are, I almost feel like the more successful you like kind of pad that like probability of being more successful, even though it might be small. Success can come in small ways.
Yeah. So while everyone's trying to like fighting for the big pie, I live off crumbs, because crumbs on Amazon are worth thousands of dollars, you know? So
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, exactly. So like my approach is like, you know, none of my products are doing, one of my products is doing 100K a month. Like it's just, those are just competitive niches, right? And as a new seller, you should not be looking into those. Like I love products that make around like 3Ks, 4Ks, 5Ks a month, because those are not that competitive, right? And you don't need that much upfront investment to get into those. For example, like the big ones that are doing 100K, you're gonna need some money to jump into that. So.
See, and also I think you and I would both agree, if you start small and you start building that like nest pile, then you can start dumping into.
Yes, once you got some money coming in, then start, you know, getting into those more competitive niches. But in order for you to like really learn Amazon, I don't recommend you get into those big ones. And I know it's easy to get carried away and start looking at, you have the tools, you're like, wow, this product's making this much, I want to get in. No, it's just you learn the process first with like the small, you know, low-hanging fruits, then rather than going for the big pies.
So when people are coming to you, what are those conversations like? For people, are they already entrepreneurs? Are they people who are selling online, they just haven't cracked the egg? Or what's kind of the demographic of people who are either reaching out to you or found your like mentorship program? Like, we're not here to sell your mentorship program, but like I'm curious, like the mindset of people coming in, like 2020 happened, are they lost their jobs, or they just want to do a side business? Like what's that slice or that kind of demographic look like?
Yeah. So I've only let in people that, you know, that are looking to create a second source of income, or, you know, they want something that they can, like a lot of them just want a second source. They have a current job and they're looking to, you know, they can see how big e-commerce has become and they want to, you know, jump in on it. Also people that want to be home more and, you know, spend more time with their families, and they want to build that business that would allow them to do that eventually, you know? So those are kind of the two main things that I see people are getting into Amazon for, right? It's a second source of income, because obviously you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket, and, you know, diversify your portfolio.
Right. You're talking about, and when you say diversify, for clarification, people listening, again, if you're listening too, I also want to take a quick moment. If you're watching us live, which a lot of people are right now, if you have a question for Dave or myself, feel free to put those in the comments. We see those on the side of our screen and we can answer those right here and there. Like unlike Clubhouse, if you're raising your hand, like go ahead and raise your hand, ask your question, and we'll answer those as well. And we can get into Clubhouse later, because you and I thrive on that place as well. Or we at least try to. I should try to say I try. You're successful on that. But for people who are for diversification, we saw in 2020, if you were just selling on Amazon, right? You got screwed if you were not a central product, especially early in Q1, Q2, when you couldn't even get inventory in there. And then now, if with Amazon shutting down, you can't receive inventory, you can't sell. So when you're talking about diversification, clarify for people listening, are you talking about just different marketplaces on Amazon? Or are you talking about like, we're going down Shopify, we're talking about like Walmart, we're talking about these other places? What do you mean by that?
No, so I was saying, so people that are like looking to get started with on Amazon, maybe they already have like a business in real estate, and, you know, they don't just want to be making money from real estate. They were getting into, for, you know, another way of getting money. So
right. Okay. So yeah, you're talking about other sources of income.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
correct. Yeah.
How tough is it to mentor out there and fight off people who either you feel like you're doing it the right way, right? Like that's why you get into mentorship. Like you feel like you have value to add. What are the battles that people don't see, like from your point of view, that are tough to combat with other people? Like whether it's your point of view, is it your like way of doing things and research? Like how, as someone who like puts themselves out there and tries to educate other people to do like to be successful, what's it like for Dave to kind of like fight those like other kinds of outside?
So you'll probably see on like my ads and just like, well, like all the trainings that I do, is people. The thing is about a lot of those ads out there on Facebook, they push kind of like this idea that Amazon is something that you'll start and you'll be rich in 2 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of why, I always talk before they even get my program. Like, listen, hey, Amazon, it's a business. Okay. You need to work on it. And it's not something that's going to make you rich overnight. It's just not, right? It's unless you're coming in with like a lot of money to invest. It's something that's you're going to build. Right. And so that's kind of like one of the main things that come in. I try to always push. It's like, hey, Amazon, I'm not telling you you're going to be rich overnight. If you're expecting to do that with my program, like it's just not going to be a good fit, So, but if you want something that you can build and start, today, something get you started, then that's what I'm here for.
That's awesome. So when you're doing this, how are people engaging with you? Like, you're a business like that. That's a business model in that regards of like trying to get people to like, you can help them in that regards. Is it building a brand for yourself, or like, are you letting your success drive like your results? Like, does that make sense? Like you're being successful and a lot of people throw out like, hey, this is my app of like how I'm selling. I'm letting my success do the work, or is it like my other students are talking and
so
doing referrals?
If you look at my Instagram, like this, it's all just me giving a bunch of free information on like the process of my own process, and I just have like testimonials from my students. There's no like Lambo or anything on there, or that's all it is. That's just my approach. Is just I just show like, if you go on my Instagram, it's just testimonials from current students, and me giving out free information on how my personal approach to Amazon is.
How has Amazon really changed your life in the regards of like how you live it? Is it allowed you to do other things that you didn't think you would in your life? Like, what is it? Because you said you were in the service industry, and that's like a 9 to 5. That's even more than 9 to 5. Like you said, multiple shifts we talked about earlier. If you're listening to this, like that's such a time suck. But now I think most recently you just said that it allows me to free up my time more than ever. Yeah. So is that the biggest component?
It's changed my life 1,000%. And I was lucky enough to start this business like in 2017. So like I had enough time to build it. And, I work for myself full time. I don't work for anybody else now. So that's a huge plus. When the pandemic happened, all hospitality got shut down. Nothing's open. It's still to this day. And I'm so glad that I started and I did not put all my eggs in one basket, because if I would have been stressing. Trust me, no income flow for, they're still closed. Like, what is it? Almost a year and something. Right. So, and it's also changed my life. It's just opened up, I work for myself. I work from home. If I feel like, going paddleboarding right now, I can.
But your view, by the way, your view is awesome. Like I don't. Yeah. It doesn't suck. Like that's what I tell people. Like we've seen people on this. We've talked to people on the show of like you can travel the world, and like obviously it's kind of like dampened a little bit, but you can travel the world and still work from a computer if there's internet. I follow lots of people and have good people in the space that, hey, if I want to like spend a weekend in Bali or whatever, or people are spending months in Bali, like I can do that. Like it's not as glamorous. Like you put in the hard work. So how do you dispel the notion of like this doesn't come like tomorrow? Like this comes with hard work.
Yeah, it definitely does. And you're gonna have to. So like I don't recommend, like you need to have a source of income already to start your Amazon business. Okay, because you're gonna have to keep reinvesting what you make for like at least at the first year, right? Because
You're
you're
talking
gonna
about not paying yourself out. You're
don't pay
reinvesting in like
yourself
your
out. You're
products.
gonna
And
need another to maintain yourself while you're starting your business, right? So it's not like oh, I'm starting an Amazon business and that's all I'm doing now full time. You're gonna have to keep reinvesting, so you're gonna need some money to live off of first. You don't want to live off your Amazon business, so that's the very first thing, right? And you gotta know how to budget yourself and all that. But once you build that wheel and once you have, that money coming in and you're like living off of it, it's a beautiful thing.
So I would agree with you, and I think that's part of like the allure of e-commerce is you're not putting the physical like man hours into it. It's not, you put sweat equity, but it's in different ways, right? It's doing like using more mind power and kind of forecasting, or using more like math and like negotiation and business skills. What was the biggest to you personally, if you could tell everyone who's watching or listening, what was the biggest weakness for you starting out? Was it, for starting a business, like you have to put yourself out there in many different ways, like negotiating with like different people who might not speak your language if your supplier's in a different country, or you have to ask for help and support, or even lending money or things like that. Like, what was your biggest weakness, if you could share?
My biggest weakness in the beginning, you said?
Yeah, what was one thing that you weren't like not the greatest at?
I mean, in the very beginning, was probably product choice. I was lucky enough because I mean, I was working late nights, so I could stay up late and talk to the suppliers all day back and forth. But the
advice for everyone, but you were staying up late.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, other side of the world, we're built on East Coast time. That's late for people like to be talking like.
Yeah. So I was on my, like, some people like it takes a
on WeChat and things like that.
Yeah. So that I was, and I had some tricks up my sleeve to negotiating and stuff. So that I was good at that. It was just, really in the beginning for me was just learning how Amazon customers behave, and like what, how they're buying. And once I learned that, and it's quite simple once you get it, right? Like you can't get into products that people have a lot of reviews because people base their buying decisions on reviews. Reviews equal social proof. So you just can't compete with people that have, 10,000 reviews unless you're bringing like an incredible product, but that's really hard to do. So that was what was hard for me in the beginning, but it took some products failing for me to like really understand it. And well, now I get it.
Yeah, you're talking about social proof in terms of like some sort of like measurable results. Correct. Now that Amazon's kind of taken away the early reviewer program, how are you ebbing and kind of like taking your speedboat, and how are you changing direction? So in that regards, like how should people think about it this way?
What's big with me is you got to get into, usually I go into products that have a low average review count, right? So the top sellers on Amazon have like an average review count like less than 300 for me. And you got to really work on what I really excel at is just differentiating and adding value. So like, and obviously I have a great graphic design team, so it really stands out for me. So I just make it really a no-brainer for people to pick my product. Even though I have only 5 reviews and I'm competing with people that have 200, people are going to choose mine because I'm adding, for example, an amazing bundle that goes together with it, right? And that takes the work, right? It takes the research. It takes going on Amazon, looking, okay, so that's what's already selling on Amazon. What reason am I giving the customer to pick mine over the competition? Maybe I'm changing the pattern, right? Like I love selling products that I can print on, right? Like, or like anything that I can just change the pattern on, because then you're competing on what it looks like. And if I find products that I can compete on what it looks like, I have a bunch of resources on how to find way better looking products than what's already selling on Amazon, And obviously I use like Pickfu to validate my product ideas, right? Also, another big thing is you guys gotta, whenever you're selling a product, it's not about what you think; it's about what the majority of people think, right? Because you might like a certain pattern you did on your product, but the majority of your target customers might not. Pickfu is a great site that I use just to validate my ideas. So I'll pull with the top seller on Amazon, the top 2 sellers on Amazon, and then my product next to it, and see how many votes I get.
Yeah, shout out to our friends Justin and Anthony over at PickFood, because I've been messaging Anthony. He's in different countries randomly, just traveling the world. So shout out to him. We are due to. They have a cool event coming actually up here this week. I think if you're close to PickFood guys.
I need to. I use that a lot.
Well, I was gonna say, sorry for everyone listening. If you haven't checked out PickFood, definitely check out them. And Dave, I'll make sure I connect you with Anthony, because he's kind of like the partnerships guy over there. But they're fantastic. They actually excel in not just e-commerce, but they started out in the book industry. So think about this: if they're doing book titles, talking about different covers, things like that. And now they're even going a step further and doing e-gaming, which is really cool space to be in, which are like mobile apps, things like that, what people are validating. And PickFood is a really good way to say either it's a imaging thing or a title or just graphics or anything like that, like a photo. Lots of people are really bringing them up, and they're doing great stuff over there. So I'll make sure.
I love how you can have your post show up to like a target audience. So that's great.
Exactly. Yeah, it's real time. It's real time testing. I think it's like $50 for like 10 people, or like even something along those lines. Their pricing changes constantly, but I say it constantly. There's always value add in there. So but yeah, check them out for sure. So good call out. When so it sounds like the more visual representation, like the more you're visually appealing to people, that's how you really stand out. Is that what you really go for? Instead of price?
I go for that, and so I choose I that's how I really compete, and it's what's worked for me. It's print on products like like textiles, or anything that you can change the pattern on that's easily customizable. I love. But also something else is adding, for example, bundles, but like good bundles, right? So it's like, oh wow, I was already planning on buying that product with this product, and if it's something small, something light, and you can get away with selling it for the same price as your competition, even with that bundle, it's kind of a no-brainer, right? Those are kind of like, but that one's probably like a more popular approach. What I really is that it's coming up with those different pattern ideas,
and that's one of the true organic spaces left on a product page. Is the frequently bought by section is truly just organic. Like you can't manipulate. I mean, you can't. Let's say you can't manipulate it, but it's a truly organic placement still left that you're not placing ads on right now. So we've had that conversation, like everything on Amazon product page is an ad now, but I think that will eventually like head back to organic placement. So that's really cool. What you talked about other marketplaces, and you're in different countries. Is there another like marketplace that you would ever jump into to either like sell wholesale, or you would sell on their like as a third party seller?
Like I sell in the UK. Obviously, it was amazing when they were part of the EU, because you could automatically. I know,
but this is one community that's really pissed off about Brexit is the e-commerce community. It's like, god damn it.
I know. Now we got to send our things to Germany.
Netherlands. Yeah, exactly.
I sell in all of EU. It's good. It's growing. And Australia. I have my most successful products in the United States. I just send them on there, and they're great. They're add some revenue. I mean, I still got to focus on that more. But yeah,
I mean, you also probably tell people like those economies have just not, or marketplaces have not caught up yet. Like everything's fast forward, but we're now catching up. Like everything's still catching up. So those will continue to catch up. Would you ever do anything like a Walmart or a Target?
I sell at Walmart. I sell at Walmart.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, I sell. I don't teach it or anything.
What's your take on Walmart? Like, what's it like for you as a seller on Walmart? I've heard both ends of the spectrum. It's great. It's like very basic. It's not great.
Yeah, it's new. I did not get approved for Amazon for Walmart fulfillment, so I use a third-party logistics company for my fulfillment for Walmart.
Okay.
I use Deliver, which means it's good. You also have to get approved for advertising and all that stuff, and rankings a little different, right? So I mean, it's great to get into now, but it's a lot more complicated than Amazon. Amazon is just because they have a huge, they're already ahead by a lot. But they're still developing new things, but I mean, I make, so say for example, like I have a product that's selling like 40 times a day on Amazon. It sells like 5-8 times a day on Walmart, which is good.
That's
You
not
know,
bad skew.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not terrible. And
it's not
because
terrible.
not everyone, yeah. I mean, also like it depends on your product selection, right? Like,
Yeah,
is your customer shopping on Walmart? Maybe. Like
yeah,
yours potentially could be, but people are typically go to Amazon for like best price and whatnot. So that's
yeah.
intriguing. Is there like a marketplace or like a asset of e-business that still fascinates you that you just don't like know too much about it? Like what I mean by that is there a marketplace that either you want to sell in that is just not available or you don't have the time or bandwidth to do, which is pretty typical? Or is there like a growth area that's most fascinating to you and you're just keeping your eye on it and kind of looking and keeping your finger on the pulse?
Yeah. So I definitely want to just keep expanding as far as just Amazon and more marketplaces, right? But you run out of because you got to spend time on those. I
It's a
want to
lot.
sell. I want to
It's 19
sell.
different marketplaces now. Yeah.
I know that. I mean, I just want to focus on Amazon and just try to, ride this wave as much as possible and just try to get listed on as many more marketplaces. So that's what my focus is going to be. I just put up products on Walmart just to see, just to learn the platform, just because in case it does get popular, I want to learn how to do it. So I taught myself Walmart, but my focus is going to be just expanding my business just worldwide.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
When you're when you're talking about the international growth, like that's what us at Ping Pong we really help people do.
Mhm.
When do you tell like your students or people come to you? When's the right time to grow internationally? What's your advice to there?
Um, Man, Amazon makes it so easy to grow internationally. So honestly, it's whenever your business is doing like, I don't know, 20 G's a month on revenue, just learn, if you got that already created here in the United States and you can see that your products are selling well over there in Europe or in Australia, because there's tools. The thing about Amazon is like the tools will show you how well the products are selling over there. So if the product that you're currently selling on in the United States is selling really well in Europe, then just send products to the warehouse over there, right? Obviously, you have to get your VAT number and all that stuff for Europe, which doesn't take that much.
Great, thank you. Finally, somebody who says like it's not that bad. Just like you have to educate or find someone who knows what they're talking about and
Yeah,
sign up. It's just like sales tax, right? It's not too bad. It's not too
yeah,
strenuous.
it's pretty easy. I mean, obviously, there's like companies that'll help you with taxes, and it's not that they do it all, right? So
Yeah.
It's really easy to sell internationally. It's just, I mean, if you know how to create a listing in the US and how to send inventory to the US, you're literally clicking a button on your Amazons and then you're in your platform and then you're in the marketplace in Europe or in the UK, right? Creating the listing, sending the inventory is the same thing.
So from your point of view, why do you think people don't look at that more? Like for you, it seems easy.
They might think that it's hard, right? They're like, oh, I don't know, like I don't know anything about Europe and stuff, but the tools will tell you if it's selling or not, right?
Or do you think it's more I have to replicate exactly everything I have to do in the United States, but at the same scale? Do you think that's the scary part of it? Is, hey, I'm selling $100,000, or I know what it is to send inventory to US. I have to do the exact same thing for a different marketplace, almost like doubling what your efforts are instead of like scaling appropriately. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I see what you're saying. I mean, it all depends like where you're at in your business. If you already have a team under you, then it's easy to just tell them, hey, let's move on to our ASINs all to Europe, right? But I did it. I took my best sellers and I saw they were selling well on Europe, so I told my supplier, I'm like, all right, we're gonna send 1,000 units, to the UK, right? And I just sent them and listed it, and I have like a company that handle the taxes for that, and every quarter they just go on the platform and you're like, hey, this is what you need to. So to pay taxes is actually quite easy. You just pay every quarter in Europe. You just send the VAT taxes to a certain a account number, and that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what about in this space in e-business? I say e-business because like there's people who are branding, they're building up brands. There's also people who are like just great at helping other people grow, like educators, people who are doing business in both retail and online. Who inspires you, like as a entrepreneur yourself?
Who inspires me? Oof.
Yeah.
Great question.
I'm full of them, man.
Yeah, you are. Yes, I know. Let's see. Man, that's a really good one. There's so many.
And it doesn't have to be in the industry. I don't know if it's someone that you look to for advice, or do you have like
Jeff
a
Bezos.
mentor? Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
He personally inspires me every single day. Exactly.
Yeah.
He calls me up and says, "You can do it, Dave," and then he hangs up.
Yeah.
He's like, "Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it."
Yeah. I see you're killing it. Yeah, man. Man, who inspires me? I don't know. They're just, I don't know. Pretty much, I don't really have any inspirations.
If it's not a person, what's a business that inspires you? Maybe like is there a business entity, or is there like a one that you're just like, for most people, I'll give this kind of point of view. People are like, I freaking love what Tesla does. They don't give a shit. They just do what they do. And it's like Elon Musk, but it's also like the company and innovation that they bring. So they're like, I like Elon, but I also like Tesla and like the products they come out with. It's different. It's wide. It's variety. It's, different things like that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yes, it's definitely a good one. Okay, we have a question as you want. But yeah, man. Yeah,
maybe we can come back to that if you want to. If you want to mull it over.
Think about who.
This is an easier one for you. From Facebook, actually, we had a question that says, "Hi, Dave. How often do you take new students in?"
So we pretty much will take in new students every 2 weeks. So, and I have a very like thorough, so I don't let in that many people in, just because it's coaching, right? And it's not like, and my classes are super small. We do like maybe 5 at a time. So if you are interested, just message me or email me, Dave. My email is dave@ecomdave.com, or Instagram. Just go Ecom Dave and just message me. Hey, saw you on the podcast. Just message me Crossover Commerce, and I'll shoot you over an application. And if you're a good fit, we'll get on the phone, me and you, and we'll talk about, how I can personally help you start your business.
Absolutely. And we also have the ability to, in the show notes, actually, everyone, if you're listening to this on the podcast or you're watching this still, in the link below on the description, there's a link to Dave's Instagram. Make sure you give him a follow as well. So make sure you do that. And then also, so go to that and message him directly there. As well. Good question. But it sounds like quality over quantity is what you're going for.
Yeah. So I don't just like let everybody in. It's got to be a good fit, and you have to be in the right, a place, like, either just financially, and like also you need to have time. For example, and we'll talk, it's all on the application, right? Because if you just let someone in that's doing a billion things at once and that's not going to be able to focus and really apply what I teach, then what are we doing?
Exactly. So, you're wasting your time, their time, like, or money, or whatever that looks like. So that's a good way to approach it. So that being said, I think like that's a cool transition to, I know you're pretty active on, like, a lot of people are doing education in multiple ways, like Facebook, podcasting, they're doing Instagram and whatnot with the new social app. And it's becoming more hot. And I even had an Entrepreneurial magazine yesterday. I got it in the mail. The title is the hot new social app Clubhouse, and how people are either monetizing it or what you should do and why you should be on there. You are there frequently. You're always on there, but it's a good thing, I think, like for people who are building brands and trying to bring value. What's your take on, how did you first become on it or aware of it? And then how did you really become I want to bring value in this point of view and really show people that this is another way you can do it, but just through voice. Like, you're not editing, you're not doing anything. What's the allure of Clubhouse to you? I'm curious.
Yeah. I came across Clubhouse with some of my friends. I'm pretty sure they all live down here in Miami. Where they're very good friends of mine. Kevin, David, Josue, Tanner, and they were like, "Hey man, you got to get on this." And I got on it, and it was pretty early on. And
January or December. Was
around that. You know what I like about it? Like Instagram, and like it's like you can, it's like mostly like image based and looks cool. Clubhouse, no one is going to follow you unless you have some value to provide, and like it all matters on what's in your head rather than what it looks like, right? So like no one is going to, for example, like follow you on Clubhouse if you are just no one that knows anything about a certain topic, right? So I'll start my rooms and just mostly like things that I know about, and it's great, man. It's love. Like you get a nice room going. And people are asking questions. And honestly, I give so much free value on there. Like I'll do master classes for like a whole hour, just straight up, And it's great. People ask questions on it. I love the platform, and it's great for networking. I've met so many people through there. Ryan, we like reconnected on there as well, right?
It was like a few months off. Yeah, we took the pandemic off, and then we reconnected on Clubhouse. And like that's the most fascinating thing is, yeah, maybe this is my mindset too, but a lot of people just are afraid to like share their insights or what they've seen, and that's just a scary thought and concept of no one's going to think that matters or like that provides value. But then you share it, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that way, because everyone's perspective is different, right? We each have different.
Yeah, I'm a student, man. I go in there, and obviously there are people that are just beasts on Amazon, and I was listening to their stuff when I first started, just it's great just being on those rooms and seeing like their approach. I mean, I was, if you ever act like you know everything about something, you're actually dumb, right? So I love being in there and just learning from people that are doing like 5 mil a month, and I'm like, wow, and just like their approach, and like I'm always learning, so I love it for that.
I'm curious to you because you're a business person too, and we've seen probably in the news like, hey, there's monetization options. Like I just got pinged. I was like, the Clubhouse is like, you can turn this on, just like go with our partner Stripe, and there's a new tipping functionality where people can pay you for. I think this is how it works. They can pay you for value that they see in your eyes. Have you A, done that, or B, are you going to, or how would you monetize, or never?
I don't know. I'm not gonna pay. I mean, I don't see myself really charging for that. I just like to give on there, and if I give free value, and if they want to follow me, and on my Instagram, and I can, if they want to join the coaching program, that's good enough for me.
And I was going to say like that's not for everyone. I'm just saying like, I'm not telling people like, hey, like pay Dave or anything like that. I'm curious like how people are going to perceive the monetization function, and how they're going to either how people are, or as an audience going to use it. And then also how creators are going to use it, because it's supposed to be for both ways, helping people that are providing content, help out in that way. Yeah. I'm curious as an industry in e-commerce, but also just as a society.
I mean, it's the thing is, people are running like this insane rooms. I mean, there's definitely a lot of value there, because you're getting people giving away a bunch of free info, right? With like in really, info that they charge a lot of money for. So you can get away with, hey, you want to join my Clubhouse room? We're going to have Elon Musk on it, but you have to pay for it. I mean, they're going to kill it,
That's not a bad thing. Yeah. Right? It's almost like an event, right? Like a VIP.
It's like an event. Yeah. That's great. 100%.
Yeah. I think that's where eventually we'll go. In my opinion, if you don't mind being part of that, I think that's cool that you can do that. I know people have just said like, that's really great information, I'm going to pay you for that. Like it's such a dark hole to go down, especially when you have people who either make that their number one priority of money first instead of value first. And that's the sticky slope, because I think that's why Clubhouse exists and why it's so popular, is because a lot of value, connections, networking, things like that is first. And that's why other platforms haven't succeeded in that regard. So I've been curious to see how this kind of, it's only been a month or a week or two that it's been out. So I just got pinged about it in my profile.
Rooms on it this week. They were talking about that, and like, how to monetize it and which way to go around. And like, it's interesting. I'm really curious on how everything's going to turn out.
Right. Wait, so the final to kind of like before we wrap up here, Dave, what's kind of your vision and kind of your plan for 2021? Like what's your, if you have a vision board, like what does that look like for this year to be successful? Or what's the rest of this year look like for you as a mentor and as a seller?
As a seller, I'm getting to 7 figures. That's happening.
Let's go, man.
Yes, that's good. And as a coach, just just expand the master program for that and help as many people just get started the right way. For me, it's enough. Building that, and so that's pretty much my goal.
Awesome. And do you ever think about who was inspiring you, to circle back on that?
Ryan Cramer.
Oh, stop it. Get out of here, man. Get out of here. I don't inspire people. I'm just a talking head. I'm just here to bring value to people. That's all I am. But I appreciate the kind words. But hey, for people who are who want to learn more information or just kind of check you out, or just like you said, we've had people how do I get in part of the program? There's a couple of questions on there from YouTube and Facebook if they're watching here. And how can they follow you? How can they either get in touch with you? Because I know on Clubhouse, they can obviously follow you and I at Ecom Dave and at Ryan Cramer. But how can they follow you for business reasons?
So same thing. My all handles are the same online. So Ecom Dave is for Instagram. You guys can just message me there if you are interested about joining my coaching program and having me mentoring you and walking through the steps, all that. Just message me Crossover Commerce, and I'll make sure I reach out to you there so I know where you came from, and I'll shoot you over the application. If you're a good fit, then I can help you build a successful Amazon business the right way. And again, you can also email me, Dave at Ecom Dave, or just follow me on Instagram.
Dave, you need to start a podcast, man. You have the gear, you have the setup, man. You're ready to go. I'm just going to stretch it a little more. I have the same microphone. It's just down here in this little I flipped it. Yeah, I was going to say it's flipped upside down, but hey, that's another way. If you're not stretched too thin, providing a podcast is always more fun and value. So just an idea for the future. Make sure I get some sort of royalty though. I'm just
exactly.
My man, hey, it was nice to talk to you and see you again on video chat. Make sure you guys follow him. I follow Dave on social media on Facebook as well as Instagram and Clubhouse as well. Thanks, man, for hopping on. I know you're busy hopping on. What you were coaching right before this, and now I'm assuming coaching after. So we appreciate your time today.
All right, thank you so much, Ryan.
Awesome, thank you, man. Awesome. Thanks, Dave, again for hopping on Crossover Commerce. Again, this is episode 90, mentoring success, helping other entrepreneurs grow. Dave's doing fantastically. We connected at a former company, Viral Lunch, when I was at, and reconnected on Clubhouse. But make sure you follow him on social handles. And if you want help or if it's good fit for you, make sure you check him out there. Just a lot of value and insights that he's sharing on all those platforms again for free. I think that's what it's all about, is making sure you see other people grow and grow their businesses, everyone helping out other people. That's what this networking community is all about. That's what I foster and help build on this show. So we appreciate that. Again, if you're watching this live, if this is your first time or this 90th time, thanks for tuning into Crossover Commerce. I host the show 4 to 5 times per week in conjunction with PingPong Payments. If you want to learn more about our company, check out the comments below. We help people save money if you're selling internationally, sending or receiving money around the world. So check out Crossover Commerce and PingPong Payments and the links in the show notes below. Again, this is episode 90 with Ecom Dave, mentoring success, helping other entrepreneurs grow. We appreciate our guest Ecom Dave hopping on with us today. Join us again tomorrow. We have Joe Sheelan of Ad Advance hopping on here. We're going to talk about I titled it Talk DSP to me, the basics of Amazon DSP and the ad network. So tune in tomorrow live, noon Eastern, if you guys want to check us out there. Again, thanks for tuning into Crossover Commerce. We'll catch you guys next time.